Red Edition, welcome, happy day. Politics without politicians, wouldn't that be cool? Because they're even in school boards and places, and we all know this, but here's an interesting story in Florida. A daycare teacher there was fired recently because, you know why? She put out a fire. She saved the lives of all of the students, but what happened is she had to leave the room. She smelled smoke, and she said, hey, what to do? So she walked out into the hallway. She got the fire extinguisher. She put out the fire, came back in. The guy came along, guy being the boss, I guess, and said, hey, you know, rule number 17A on page 302, you know the drill, says that you can't leave the students alone. I guess we all get that, but you saved their lives, so what? You're unemployed now. Have a nice life. You got to have a little rigid flexibility, I think, to kind of be alive, don't you? So many of these people, you can almost tell how they vote, right? He don't vote right. He ain't a Republican. I got to know that already. That's a sad, sad kind of thing. Now, let me share this with you with Quebec, Canada. Now, all of you people, every state, every county, every city, listen up to this, because minimum wage, that's a big deal, right? Everyone that gets elected or wants to get elected, they always say, hey, elect me, and I will increase the minimum wage because I'm a hero and I know so much. Minimum wage, I've always been against it because it sets a bar, and it's the wrong bar, because so many people, when you set it, get unemployed because you increase the wage up in some states to $10 an hour, and people say, hey, mom and pop pizza owner people say, hey, we can't afford this anymore. We've got 10 students we have to let go, and our kids will have to work harder, as will we, because, you know, we can't justify it. Now, most people who make minimum wage, you know what? They don't pay taxes. They live at home, and they have the equivalency of 2.5 times of that amount of money they get paid. I'm digressing a little bit because I'm going back to Quebec here, but minimum wage, in addition to being bad for the economy, has this left-wing growth thing attached to it. You know, left-wing people are never satisfied to get an inch. They all want a mile, and they keep going, and usually they get it before you have the circle to start come back, and Ronald Reagan fixed that circle once before, and soon y'all need somebody else to do it again. Back to Quebec from that digressing talk. That nanny state there, they are a bunch of left-wing wackos. They survive on money coming from the West, primarily Alberta. They get that money, and they waste it, and they socialize everything. They're really, really old school. They're a nanny state. It's very unfortunate. They have the minimum wage, of course. Now, they like the word minimum. They have a minimum price on gasoline. It wasn't long ago Costco said, hey, we're going to sell gasoline for less because we're in the business of being competitive, etc. Not so fast. You're not allowed to do that because we have a law. Can you believe it? They have a minimum price now on haircuts. They have a minimum price on books because they're commies. They're saying, you got to compete. You can't. You will. That's just wrong. Breaks every fundamental rule of life, of living. I mean, what's up with all of these people? It is so wrong. Now, of course, they've had to create a policing department to implement that minimum pricing policy. So they not only have the minimum wage, they have minimum everything, and they're going to control the whole economy, which effectively they do anyway. If you own a piece of property there, pretty much anywhere, but there in particular, and you go and you want to get a permit to build something, you just want to give them the title and say, it's your property, really. I'm just kind of a peon. I'm leasing it, I guess, because I can't do anything unless you say. Okay, a cyclist in San Francisco recently pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He went through 3 red lights. He's riding a bike, right? And a cyclist, you can go fast. And this guy was really rocking. He went through 3 red lights. He was a hazard on the road. And finally, of course, going through a red light, his 4th one, he hits some people. 1 guy dies. What happens to this guy, the bad guy, the cyclist? He gets 3 years probation. Duh. The judge says, I haven't ever seen this before. We've never charged somebody on a bicycle before. Get over the uniqueness of it and act like a judge and put a proper fine or thing in place. It was manslaughter? Of course it was. Go to jail. 3 years probation? That's not very nice. The guy, you know, San Francisco, maybe this guy was a tree hugger and maybe hugged trees every Saturday afternoon with the judge? Maybe. Okay, the stupid thief file. Back to Canada, just east of Calgary. West of Calgary, pardon me, the RCMP were making a regular road patrol drive around, and they saw this car, a van, tailgating another car. We're talking inches away, going 70 miles an hour, inches away from the back bumper, and they screamed, meow, and they turned around and chased the guy and said, hey, you're not supposed to drive like that. And they looked in the back of the van. It was full of marijuana, $2 million. Where the pot? There, so they took him to jail, and the cops are all probably smoking the pot as we speak. Hey, a little cynical, but they do that, you know, or they have in the past at least. Store window. I'm ending now today with a little joke. Lighten up. Here it comes. There's a sign in a store window in Britain. We would rather do business with 1,000 terrorists than with one single British soldier. Some people took offense to that until they looked up and saw the name of the business. You know, it was John's Funeral Parlor. Hey, y'all, come back tomorrow. We're going to have more for you from Right Edition, where we got the right point of view, don't you know? See ya.